Have you ever stopped to think when exactly your marriage stopped being a safe harbor and became coexistence between strangers? That man who once looked at you with admiration now barely notices your presence. The woman who was once your greatest confidant now seems to live in another world. There was no betrayal, no big fights, just a silence that grew over the years until it became louder than any words. What happens when love doesn't end but simply cools down? When two people who promised each other everything now barely recognize each other in time's mirror? The truth is, this phenomenon is more common than imagined. After decades together, many couples discover that routine, responsibilities, and unresolved minor grievances have built an invisible wall between them. But what if I told you this distance isn't irreversible? That what seems like the end might just be a new chapter waiting to be written? Over the years, researchers and therapists have identified 7 crucial factors that cause husbands and wives to gradually drift apart, and most importantly, how to reconnect those bonds that time seems to have undone. This isn't another one of those superficial advice pieces about having more romantic dinners. We're talking about real, profound, and possible changes even after so many years, because love shouldn't just be about lasting, but about being worthwhile. And if you're here, it's because you still believe yours is. Time changes everything. Our bodies, our faces, our hair. That woman your husband found dazzling at 30 now has wrinkles that tell stories, graying hair that shows wisdom, a body bearing the marks of a shared life. And here's the truth, no one says out loud, this frightens. Not because beauty has disappeared, but because it has transformed. And many don't know how to handle this transformation. In the first years of marriage, physical attraction seems to come naturally, but as years pass, what was novelty becomes familiarity, and what was excitement becomes habit. The problem isn't aging itself, it's how we perceive these changes. When a husband stops seeing his wife as the woman who still makes him smile, and starts seeing her just as the lady he shares a bed with, something essential is lost. But here's the secret successful couples know. Real attraction doesn't die at the first white hair or the first mark of time. It only grows deeper if you let it. That gaze that once marveled at a new dress can learn to marvel at the strength that carried your children, at the resilience that weathered life's storms, at the story each line on the face tells. True intimacy isn't in the skin that ages, but in the person growing within it. Remember when you would spend hours talking about everything and nothing? When every thought, every dream was shared with enthusiasm? Well, at some point between bills to pay, children's commitments and daily worries, these conversations were replaced by parallel monologues. You talk about the sick grandchild, he complains about medicine prices, and neither truly listens to the other. Communication in a mature marriage follows a cruel paradox. The more time together, the less actual conversation happens. Words become functional, pass the medicine, call the plumber, and lose their ability to connect souls. Worse, when trying to talk about what really matters, you no longer know how. Sentences begin with, you always, or you never, and what could be dialogue becomes a minefield of veiled accusations. But here's the secret therapists know. It's not about talking more, it's about listening differently. When you stop listening to respond and start listening to understand, something magical happens. That silence, that was once an abyss, becomes safe space. The scolding about dishes left in the sink may reveal years of accumulated exhaustion. Complaints about bills may hide a deep fear of not being enough. The communication that saves relationships isn't in words spoken, but in feelings heard. What began as a romance full of discoveries became a calendar of repetitions. Every Saturday is feijoada at your daughter's ponds. Every Sunday has 8 a.m. Mass. Every July is the same beach. And without noticing, you traded passion for predictability. Not that routine is bad. The problem is when it becomes a prison without bars, where days blend together and years pass without anything really happening. How many times have you heard or said, "Let's not change, we're used to it this way"? This phrase seems harmless, but it's a death sentence for any relationship. Marriage doesn't age because of time, It ages from lack of novelty. When was the last time you did something for the first time together? When did you last laugh at something unexpected? When were you last surprised by each other? Here's the inconvenient truth. Monotony isn't a consequence of time spent together. It's a symptom of complacency. Couples who keep the flame alive understand that routines can provide comfort, but surprises are oxygen. It doesn't need to be a trip to Europe. It could be a new restaurant around the corner, a dance class at 60, or simply breaking protocol to do something spontaneous. The antidote to a marriage that has turned into autopilot lies in small doses of unpredictability that remind you both you're still those people who once chose each other, not just two strangers sharing a house. For decades, you were father and mother before being husband and wife. The night shifts by your children's beds when they had fever, the endless parent-teacher meetings, the madness of adolescence, all this created a powerful bond, but also gradually erased your identity as a couple. And when the children finally leave home, you look at each other and realize you no longer remember how to be just the two of you. Parenthood has this cruel side effect. It both unites and distances at the same time. You became an unbeatable team at raising children, but somewhere in that process, you forgot to keep being lovers. Conversations started revolving around school grades, health plans, and allowances, while your shared dreams were being archived in the name of family stability. But here's what no one tells you. Children don't want unhappy parents. They need to see in you not just caregivers, but an example of love that persists. Rebuilding your marital connection after the children leave isn't betraying your role as parents, it's completing it. Start slowly. Rediscover songs from your dating years. Visit special places from the beginning of your relationship. Allow yourselves to flirt like you did at 20. The house may be quieter, but this silence doesn't need to be empty. It can be the space where, finally, you rediscover each other. In the whirlwind of adult life, between caring for aging parents, helping adult children, and managing your own health, you've let an emotional void grow between you. He needs recognition for what he still achieves. She longs for conversations that go beyond the superficial. Both miss being truly seen, but no longer know how to ask. And so, day after day, the emotional silence takes deeper roots. How many compliments have you swallowed instead of giving? How many nights have passed without asking, "How are you, really?" The problem isn't lack of love. It's lack of expression of that love. When a couple stops being moved together, they begin to drift apart without noticing. That hug that lasted minutes is now just a quick gesture when leaving. The breakfast that was a moment of connection has become just another daily task. But here's the secret. Unmet emotional needs don't disappear. They turn into resentment. The good news? It's never too late to start over. Try this simple exercise. For 1 week, share a happy memory from the past before sleeping. Listen without interrupting. Hold hands while talking. These small gestures are like water for a dry plant. They can bring back to life something that seemed lost. Because deep down, at any age, we're all still those young people who just wanted to be loved and understood. That argument about money spent on the $1,995 house renovation, the time he forgot your anniversary, when she chose to spend Christmas with her family. Small resentments you swore to overcome, but that keep coming back in tense moments. The problem isn't the disagreements, it's what happens, or doesn't happen, after them. Over the years, many couples develop a dangerous habit, sweeping conflicts under the rug, creating uneven ground where any step can throw the relationship off balance. Let it go becomes the motto. But what really goes away is the opportunity for mutual understanding. These poorly healed wounds are like emotional canker sores, small but capable of ruining the sweetest moments. The liberating truth is this. There's no marriage without disagreements. But there is marriage where disagreements strengthen rather than divide. The secret lies in learning to argue differently, not to be right, but to understand. When an old resentment surfaces, try asking, "What did this situation make you feel at the time?" Instead of, "Why are you still talking about this?" Many decades, old fights get resolved when we finally choose to hear the pain behind the complaint, rather than just countering it. The illness that arrived without warning. The retirement that brought more stress than relief. The children who need financial help. The grandchildren demanding attention. Events unrelated to the relationship gradually consumed the time and energy you once devoted to each other. And without noticing, these external challenges became the third element in the relationship, an intruder that divides more than unites. When adult life worries pile up, it's easy to turn your partner into a burden bearer rather than a safe harbor. Conversations become only about problems to solve, not dreams to share. He becomes the listener of bills to pay, she the confidant of body aches. And so, without meaning to, you stop being lovers and become just survival partners. But here's the most beautiful revelation. These same factors that drove you apart can become bridges to reconnect. Shared adversity has a unique power to bring people together when faced as a team. Next time life comes knocking, try pausing for 5 minutes before solving the problem and simply hold hands. Take a deep breath and remember, behind all these worries still exist those two people who once chose to face the world together. Because in the end, it's not the challenges that define a marriage, but how you support each other through them. After walking through these 7 challenges that so many couples face, we come to the most important truth. Mature love isn't a feeling that ends. It's a choice renewed each day. The difficulties you faced aren't signs of failure, but proof of resilience. After all, how many relationships didn't survive the early years, while yours has lasted decades? What differentiates couples who survive from those who truly revive is the courage to face these natural changes and turn them into opportunities. Yes, bodies change, but they can learn to rediscover each other. Routines become established, but can be broken by small daily revolutions. Children leave, but make room for rediscoveries. Conflicts arise, but bring chances for deeper understanding. You've already proven you can build a life together. Now it's time to prove you can reinvent it. Start small. An unexpected compliment today. An affectionate memory tomorrow. A new shared experience next week. These small sparks, when nurtured consistently, can reignite the flame that never completely went out. Remember, there's no final period in love worth having, just commas. Moments to take a deep breath and start anew. The last page of your book is yet to be written, and it can be as beautiful as the first chapter. It all depends on the decision you make today to keep choosing each other, day after day, with all the changes time has brought, and all the possibilities it still holds. If this content touched your heart, leave a like. This helps us reach more couples who need this message. Subscribe to the channel to receive other videos that can transform your relationship. Share with someone you know also needs to hear this today. Together, we can rewrite love stories. God bless you.